Hello there, art students. Hello, YouTube. How are you? If you're an art student of mine, be sure to go ahead and have your notebook out and get your notebook situated where you got the Cornell Notes fashion. You got notes on the right side, thinking on the left side. While they're doing that, if you're a YouTube visitor just coming in, go ahead and click a like down there. It doesn't cost you a thing. So the plan for today is we are going to discuss what is art. So again, I'll try to aim for 20 minutes. That's what I'm going for on these. When I get excited, I go a little long, and you'll forgive me. So I like to start off with this quote. This is a quote attributed to Eleanor Roosevelt. I tried to Google up to make sure that it was her that said it. I couldn't find proof, but I remember hearing it and knowing it as hers. And the quote is, "The power of the artist is to make something that ordinary people feel but cannot reveal." Go ahead and write that down in your notes. Pause it if you need to. The power of the artist is to make something that ordinary people feel but cannot reveal. And that's true. I think that in order for something to be art, it has to be true. It has to be something that people recognize as, oh yeah, I understand that. But something that perhaps they didn't or couldn't or weren't trained or experienced enough to actually create on their own. So I think that, it's kind of, I compare art to, I compare being an art teacher to being a stand-up comedian a lot of times. And I watch stand-up comedians to see how they interact with an audience and how they talk and how they move. Because in order for something to be funny, and for a comedian, it has to be true. And I think that teachers, we can borrow a lot from a stand-up comedian. So art has to be true. So I really like this quote. It's a good place to start off with what we're doing today. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what is art, what makes art, what defines art. And I'm going to give you a couple of definitions. You feel free to write these in your notes. And when I say feel free, I mean write them in your notes. And be sure to be thinking over on the left side of the page. Think as you write. You can pause this anytime you want and think. So we're going to start off with craft. So craft is an occupation or, it's a person who applies skills that they attain by practice or study or observation to create their whatever it is. So a craftsperson, a craftsman, a craftswoman is a person who has skills to do something. So if you knit, or if you cook, if you make something, dang it, where are my observations? You are a craftsperson. You make things. You have skills. Now, crafts are good, but they don't necessarily. So being a craftsperson is a good thing. I'm not trying to. And at some point, we'll talk about artsy-fartsy and snobbery. I'll do that with maybe next time. Maybe that'll be our next lesson, is snobbery. So, because the art community is very snobby. So a craftsperson is a person who makes things and does things, and that's wonderful. So to be a craftsperson is good. So this quote, I think, maybe kind of helps a little bit. He who works, or you could substitute in she, of course. She who works with her hands is a laborer. She who works with her hands and her head is an artisan, or a craftsman, a craftsperson. But she who works with her hands, her head, and her heart is an artist. I like that quote. Pause and write that down. It tells us something about what it means to make art and to be an artist. That art is an endeavor that requires more than just your skill. It really requires a little something more. It requires an intellectualization, and it requires an emotional context as well, I think. And we'll kind of talk about that here in a second. I'm trying to go fast so I don't run out of time. So here's our example. This is so a person who mows yards is a laborer. And I'm pretty sure you can make pretty good cash in the summer mowing yards. I see a lot of people in my neighborhood who don't mow the yards anymore. They hire somebody to do it. So if you come in and you have skills and knowledge and equipment and tools, you can come in and do a good job much faster and better than I could out there with my old push mower. You have skills. You are a skilled laborer. Now, if you are a landscaper, though, that is a little something different. In order to be a landscaper, you have to have a special degree of knowledge. So not just the tools and equipment and patience and physical stamina to make this lawn look lovely, but you also have to have knowledge that goes with that. You have to know, the seasons of plants and the cold hardiness and what plants will grow well in what types of soil. And you have to understand, how big is this plant going to be? Which ones go in the front? Which ones go in the back? The shape and texture of the leaves, and what taller plants will look good fronted by what shorter plants and ground covers. You get the picture. In order to be a landscaper, it requires a certain amount of knowledge and skill. So we could say that the landscaper is a craftsperson or an artisan, somebody who has special skills that enable them to do things that perhaps another person couldn't. Sure. This is a little bit different. So this is and I can't believe I just forgot his name. Goldsworthy is Andrew Goldsworthy? Is that his first name? Andrew, I think. So this is an artist who uses materials found in the natural landscape to create art. Andrew Goldsworthy. Yeah, I think that's right. So this image is, created in a natural setting using these sticks that have all been sort of interwoven together to create this dimensional pathway, this portal, this gate, this frame. He's doing something different than what a landscaper is doing. Now, could a landscaper do this? Probably. They've got tools and knowledge and sticks. So, a landscaper could do this. But a landscaper didn't do this. An artist did this. This is, it's a different endeavor. This is a different idea. I wonder how, and I was going to go online, but I don't know if it'll mess up my screen. So I'm not going to, but if you want to Google Andrew Goldsworthy and look at some of the work that he does using natural materials found in the natural environment, it's pretty cool. I mean, he'll take leaves of different colors, and he'll make it almost looks like this glowing thing that he makes with leaves, and he'll arrange stones and lots of cool stuff. I wish, if I weren't chicken of losing all this stuff, I'd jump over to Google and see if we can pull up some of his work. Maybe I'll try at the end of the video. So if I lose it, it won't ruin the rest of this. But he's an artist. So he's doing something not just with his hands and his skill, but also with his head and his knowledge and his knowledge gained of practice and study and thought. But finally, he's incorporating an emotional context and an internal feeling that's placed in there. And, if you were to stumble upon this in the woods and just see this installation of sticks, it would draw emotions from you. It would really pique your thoughts and make you very curious, and and you want to explore this, and you might be afraid of this. What is that? So what he's doing here is a different thing. So if we have these three ideas again, a person who cuts yards is a laborer who has special equipment and skills. A person who does something with a specific idea in mind and a specific set of skills in mind, we could call that person an artisan or a craftsman. And then when we talk about a person who, like Goldsworthy here, Andrew, I believe, he's making art, and that's just different. That's an endeavor that's a special endeavor. It's different from what an ordinary skilled person could do. So we'll talk a little bit about what defines an art. So I'll use my glasses since they're handy here, but a watch is nice too. Any object that is made by human hands is an artifact. Whether it's the watch that you make, your phone, oftentimes. So, like, for example, these glasses, they reflect the culture that I live in. They reflect styles of the day. So I'm not wearing I'm not wearing round little Harry Potter glasses, although I think those are coming back into style. But I used to wear little round glasses back in the 80s and 90s because they were in style. And I think the round are coming back. So these glasses reflect style. They reflect utility. They reflect use. There's a reason that they look the way they do. Someone with skills and intellect manufactured these, created these, designed these. Would we call that person an artist or a craftsman or a craftsperson? There's some ambiguity there. I'm like, what defines art and what defines an artifact? So jot this definition down in your notes if you haven't already. Feel free to push pause. Any object that a human being makes with a view towards utility. I'll get my little sippy cup here. So nice. So I'll use, see, I could talk, people. I could go. We'll just use this straw, for example. I have a plastic straw in this cup. Why? Because, like you, I saw a picture of a turtle with a straw stuck in his nose. Did you see this picture? And from then forward, I'm using plastic reusable straws. I got the little brush to clean them out, the whole bit. So I'm not the only one, because these things, you can go to the store and you can find stainless steel straws, and I mean, it's ridiculous. But this is what the market wanted, and this is what society created. This straw reflects, believe it or don't, contemporary society, popular culture. That this straw does that. So everything that a human being makes reflects the culture in which it was created. But does that make it art? And the answer is no. It is an artifact, but it is not art. So art is different. Write this in your notes. Feel free to pause. Art is different. Art is a conscious production or arrangement of elements in order to create an aesthetic. So those are some key words. They're written in red there. So if I make these glasses, I'm going to do a good job. I don't want to get fired. I want to sell a lot of units. I want to, make money, whatever my purpose is for making and designing these glasses. I want to make them lightweight. I want to make them cheap. I want to make them durable. I have a lot of reasons for making these glasses the way that I did. But I didn't make them with the intention of being art, right? Because art has to stand aside as a special thing. And it also needs to have, I need to design it with evoking an aesthetic in the viewer. Now, I could make glasses in a conscious manner to create art. I could do that. These glasses weren't done with that in mind, but I'm not saying that there aren't artists out there who don't make glasses, because there are. So the thing that really differentiates art from an artifact is the intention of the maker, the artist, and the reaction of the viewer, user, owner of the object. So again, somebody designed this cup. Well designed, beautiful. But was it manufactured with the conscious intention of it being art? It was not. Does it reflect culture and society? It does. Yep. Mm-hmm. Could you make a cup with the intention of it being art? Sure, you could. Mm-hmm. But these particular items were not made with that in mind. So art has to be a conscious production and arrangement of colors and shapes and sounds and movements, whatever artwork you're talking about, with the specific goal of it being regarded as art, and to evoke a emotional and intellectual response, an aesthetic in the viewer. So aesthetic, that's a big old word right there, aesthetic. Let's talk about that a little bit. Aesthetic. So aesthetic means that you are going to appreciate the appearance, the form, in an artistic manner. So here is a classic Mustang convertible. Beautiful. Its lines, the color choices, the textural marks on there, the leather, the softness of the leather versus the sleekness of the design. It's lovely. It is very cool. So I have an aesthetic reaction to this object. It appeals to me as the viewer. When I see it, I have a reaction. So I'll ask you, do you prefer this Mustang convertible, or do you prefer this Mustang convertible? Both of them. It's the same car, Mustang convertible, done with two different aesthetics. So this, you got your classic Mustang, brilliant blue color. It's got a lot of clean lines and hard edges, and the size of it, the chrome all over it, shiny stuff. Very cool. Or do you prefer this one, which is going to be a much softer, sleeker, rounded, darker, I don't want to say tighter, because that's not what I mean, but fitted. Everything is very fitted. Which do you prefer? Which of these two cars, the same car, the same manufacturer, a Ford Mustang, which of these appeals to your aesthetic? Does it make you wrong that you prefer this one over this one? No, it doesn't make you wrong. It's just your aesthetic. What do you prefer? So what I'm doing as a designer is I'm trying to appeal to your aesthetic. So this one is the Camaro. Do you like the Camaro better than the Mustang? I'm not telling you that you do or not. It's up to you. Your own aesthetic is what you bring to it. And so when the designers of these vehicles, and by the way, you'll notice that I'm using the word designer, not artist. When the artisans, the craftsmen, the craftspersons who design these vehicles, when they design them to appeal to your aesthetic. And these are very different looking vehicles. That blue one up there, the Camaro looks, I don't know, it kind of feels very shark-like to me. I don't know. It's cool. I like it. Do you prefer the Camaro or the Challenger? What aesthetic reaction do you bring to these objects? What is your reaction? Your reaction is not wrong or right. It is your reaction, is your aesthetic. Now, I've said a couple of times here that these were designers and not artists, because remember, in order for something to be considered art, it has to be a conscious production of art. So, did the person who designed this car, and again, I use the word design, the designer, and I did not use the word artist, did the designer who created these vehicles intend it to be art? The answer is most likely no. Now, of course, I can't say 100% no because I can't read somebody's mind. But these are utilitarian. They are artifacts. They are designed towards utility, and they do reflect popular taste and culture, just like my glasses and my cup and my straw. But they are not made with the intention of being art. Now, could a vehicle be designed by an artist with the intention of being art? Yes, it could. These were not. How do I know that? Well, one reason is I know that these artists are not, these vehicles are not designed by one person. These are designed by committees and teams of people. And each of those choices are sent to approval from multiple department heads and multiple lead designers. And each color choice is focus grouped. When they look at a prospective buyer of one of these vehicles, they, ask a 30-year-old guy, because that's probably who's buying these vehicles, hey, which color do you prefer? Do you prefer this gray or do you prefer this blue? And they focus group everything is run through filters. No one person designs these vehicles. So could a vehicle be designed with the intention of being art? It could, just like glasses or just like anything. Anything could be designed with the intention of being art. These were not. They are designed with the intention of being really cool, and they succeed at that. Are they artworks? They are not. They are artifacts, and they are beautifully crafted and wonderfully designed artifacts. They're not art. So, is that the last thing I got for today? Yes, it is. So here, I'll give you this last little bit, and I'll pop your brain, and then I'll let you go. So here's the little story. Pablo Picasso, one of the most well-known artists ever. I'm not going to say greatest. Is walking along the beach, and a guy runs up, and he says, Pablo Picasso, you're the greatest. Could I have, I want some of your artwork? And Picasso leans over and picks up a piece of wood off the beach that's just laying there he says, here you go. Is that art? I don't know. Think about it on your left side of your paper. Pause if you need to. Is that piece of wood that Picasso picked up off the beach now art? The answer is yes. Any artifact, so a piece of wood, he didn't necessarily grow the piece of wood, but he took the piece of wood from its natural state on the ground, just like Andrew Goldsworthy, just like he did. And he manipulated it, and he said, here you go. This is the artwork. It's this piece of wood. What if Picasso went out on the beach and picked up a piece of wood on his own, took it back to his home and painted it blue and stuck it on a canvas? Is it art then? Oh, yeah, it probably is. Well, so all he has to do is pick it up and say, here it is. Here's the art. So artwork is just all it is just something made with the intention of being artwork. It doesn't make it good or bad, quality or poor. It just makes it artwork. That's it. So something as beautifully designed as these cars, it can be, I mean, they are beautifully crafted and designed, but they are not artwork and they never will be. They're daggone close, but they're not. Motorcycles, there's all sorts of amazing things are created, all sorts of amazing artifacts are created by very talented artisans and craftspersons. That doesn't make them art. So, yeah. Good stuff. Big thoughts. So make sure you get that stuff in your notes, at least for this early part of our class. As we work, we're not taking tests. We're just talking about some issues and getting some knowledge. So your exam, your grade is from your notes. Make sure you're taking good notes. So yeah, we'll sign off there and call it a day. Be sure to wear a mask, be healthy, take care of your relatives and friends, especially if they are elderly, because they are in the greatest danger from being sick. And look forward to seeing you in person. Oh, I wonder if, yeah, see, I lost it.